Yes, good evening. I've been going online and apparently there's some wisdom coming out from, social media. A lot have been posted about the continent of Africa, and me as an African who is now not living in Africa, I tend to believe we are living in somebody's dream, and that dream has come to a point whereby it's really affecting us. And one part of the things that I've been hearing for a very long time since I arrived in Europe, I actually been listening to PLL Lumbumba, who is also a Kenyan, by the way, and he's been saying some things. I've been listening. Yes, I've been listening, and then it made sense. One time, my brother told me, yes, what is the problem of us being taught in Swahili? Like maybe not native language, but Swahili is like an African language. So why are we not being taught in an African language? Until today, I saw this video from Pierre Lumumba. Just listen to what he said, because he made some very important statements. And I believe this is time where we need to refocus and think about everything that has been said and everything that has been done. The colonization has been done to us as Africans, and also the mental slavery that was happening right in the United States and the Caribbean. So let's just listen to Pierre Lumumba for a minute about what he has to say about languages and the knowledge that we are receiving, and how we perceive the language from that, how we perceive the knowledge from that language, particular language that we're involved in. So if you're in an area that speaks French, you tend to resonate with the French way of thinking. So if you're from the British side, you will be gravitating to the British side, the same as Portuguese, the same as Spanish. So let's just listen to what Pierre Lumumba has to say.
They teach in Danish. Go to Norway, they teach in Norwegian. Go to Sweden, they teach in Swedish. Go to Finland, they teach in Finnish. Go to Korea, they teach in Korean. Go to China, they teach in Chinese. Go to Japan, they teach in Japanese. Then they meet the world. But you and me, here I am waxing eloquent in English. We were told that all the education we had acquired meant nothing. So that if you are eloquent in Ga or in Twi, you are not intelligent. You are only intelligent in English. You can only be intelligent in French, in Portuguese. We now know that that is nonsense. When that great Nigerian musician in the 1980s, fella Nicola Pokuti said, "Teacher, don't teach me nonsense." He meant it. He was reminding us that we must examine our education system. When the British came here and they were establishing schools across Africa, and then when they were establishing Achimota, which is famous for producing great Ghanaians, the intention was to produce young men and women who would support the colonial empire. The intention was the same in Uganda with Budo's King's College. It was the same in Kenya with the Alliance schools. As Chinua Achebe says, the white man was clever. He came and put a knife in the things that held us together, and things fall apart. That we have now become famous.
Now, he said some very important points there. He says that the white man, when he came to Africa, he was very clever. Do I believe he was clever? I don't think so. I think he just took opportunity where he found people who are welcoming, people who are receiving, people who are they do not want conflict. People want to live together because the land was vast. The food was in plenty at that time. So what is the need of fighting for the resources? So the white man, when he came to colonize Africa, or when he stepped into Africa, saw the abundance and saw the free will of the people and decided to take advantage of it. But taking advantage of it was very hard, because at that particular time, we have kingdoms, we have spiritual leaders in every community, hence making it very difficult for one to penetrate into these communities. So what white man at that particular place do? Create points of education, brought the religion, and emancipate people into those two vehicles that was going to lead into colonization and the loss of property. And also, he has said for the Africans to worship or to obey or to do as what the colonizer wanted at that time. So there he goes. There, Bloom points out something that was actually wrong. And up to today, we are going to study in every particular schools that we are in our Africa, and with even our qualification, they are not qualified to work even in countries where, maybe in England, where you were colonized. If you're from English speaking country, or if you are from French, your certificates are not recognized. You're rather asked to redo a recap test, or redo a certain course, or redo a entirety of the education that you did, or you just have to upgrade, or sit for a special paper, to just qualify you that you are actually the person that you are. So it means the education system already been flawed at that particular time, that we do not have the best education. The education was not there to serve us, but it was to serve the white imperial entity that was there at that particular time in any part of the African continent. So they took advantage of it to their own benefit. Do I blame anyone? No, I do not blame anyone. Africans are willing to welcome everyone in, and the white people are also willing to take what was left free. So that's it. And they just created a mechanism whereby they made sure they were going to take benefit 100%. Did they do that? I think they did that. As you can see what is happening right now in Africa.
Have now become famous for producing graduates in agriculture. Some of whom, if you allow me a little latitude and hyperbole, cannot distinguish between a goat and a sheep. When we want to build our roads.
There you go. He says people are going to study a particular course whereby the course necessarily, it's just like you are doing a run out. You can't sit down the person that is doing that particular course and actually create it to be a product, or create it to solve the problems that are in that particular area he serves in any country, or in any village or any particular region. The person is actually a qualification of only papers. He's just qualified paperwork, but he can't do anything. So is there a problem? Yes, 100% problem. Because before, the African society was enabling people to learn the medicine, agriculture. We had ironsmiths. We had every particular field. Yes, we might say the field at that time, or the industry at that time, was primitive, but more say the industries were actually there. The industries were actually there. There were people who learned how to live with the animals, not because they understood the ecosystem of how the ecosystem works. If you remove one part of the ecosystem of the organism from the ecosystem collapse. That the African people knew. That's why at the moment you see in Africa, you have all the wild animals still living as natural as if they were. Maybe not natural as they were, they're living maybe in zoo, but we have a huge percentage of wild animals living, because the African society had identified that you have to live or coexist with these particular animals for this certain period of time, for the ecosystem to be balanced. That's why when you go to Africa, you feel the climate to be a little bit different from where you come from. If you're living abroad, you feel the air is quite good. The quality of water is very good. The quality of food is also very good. So there it goes. And where you find people who are doing agriculture right now, we have pests and diseases that are coming up, and the agriculturists can't do anything about it. There's a lot of things happening. They're not equipped enough to fight these, pestilent diseases. They do not have the know-how. They just walking in as a qualified person, but rather than to say we lack the requisite knowledge to take Africa to the next stage.
We have engineers, most of whom today, if you do not address them as engineers so and so, they rise up, ready to beat you up. But yet, when we are building
the ignorance of that education system, now somebody feels entitlement, which was part of North Africa culture. We were never entitled to such stuff. But now, look at the education system. It is about entitlement. It's no longer about the knowledge. It's not about the things somebody could do or become an engineer, but just the entitlement. I will just take it back a little bit so that you could listen very well what he has to say.
We have engineers, most of whom today, if you do not address them as engineers so and so, they rise up, ready to beat you up. But yet, when we are building our highway from Accra through to Winneba, through to Cape Coast, through to La Côte d'Ivoire, it is the Chinese that I see, which calls into question, what type of engineering are we teaching? We are producing doctors, and they are good, some of them. But yet, when those of us who have the ability are sick, unless they do not know, they want to be airlifted to Dubai and to Germany. They have no faith in our medical system. When we are sick during COVID.
What does that sound like? Politicians. They actually are given a task to run the country, to rule the country, to actually enable the country to get enough health that it needs, create modalities or systems that work for, agriculture, medicine, engineering, but they fail in that particular part because of corruption, because of greed, the entitlement that he said, and now the system seems to be collapsing. The whole ecosystem, as I talked about, the ecosystem of running and a stable, healthy, and working nation is actually removed from that particular system. So what do we have? It's a collapse of the system. But now, because you've collapsed the system and you've been greedy and taking money through corruption, now what do you decide? If you need medical attention, you fly abroad to get your medical attention. If you need your kids to get the right education, education that will be recognized worldwide, you take your kids abroad to go and study. Yeah, he mentions that very well, and I think I needed to add a little bit on that, because it is the politicians who are actually the collapse of the communities back in Africa. But they think by collapsing and taking their kids for medical attention, themselves medical attention and studies abroad, on also another thing that is really, really painful, take the money from this particular African country and go and deposit it in a foreign country. The economic system collapsed absolutely. So he mentioned that very well, but I needed to add that on top.
All Africa is crying to America, oh, give us Moderna, give us Pfizer, to the Russians, give us Sputnik. We are crying. Yet we have universities.
One thing my grandfather used to say, a beggar is a slave to the lender. If you beg, you will be a slave to the beggar. You rather stay or sleep with an empty stomach. Maybe the least you could do to yourself, not to sleep hungry, is to drink a whole gallon of water than rather beg to become a slave. Becoming a slave, it makes the slave master sit comfortable, enjoy the benefits that you are giving them, because they are charging a premium for it, and they will want that to continue. That statement that was given to me by my grandfather was really, really very strong. I remember when he said it, I was wondering, why did he have to say it? Okay, at that time I was a little bit old of age, but I understood what he meant. I really understood what he meant. I was doing my KCPE examination. That was my Kenya Certificate of Primary Education. And he came during the prayer day and he said those words, and I still remember them up to today. He said, be careful with who enslaves you, because the one who enslaves you charges a premium, and when that premium ends, he will want to extend the premium. So you'll be continuous being a slave. And I think that's the tragedy of what is happening right now in Africa. People are becoming slave because of that little allowance that you have, or that little money that you want to go and seek from somebody else, and the person enslaves you. You become a slave to that slave master, and that slave master wouldn't want to let you go because you're working for them. You are working for them. And that's the sad thing about Africa. You have the resources, you have the minerals, but you think yourself quite so low that you want to go to another person and get finances. And that, I will also do a video on Ibrahim Traore, on what he has done to this country with the ability of the few resources that he has. He has turned around, worked about how to make things work, and he's actually working. So is this thing really workable? Yeah, it is very workable. It's only that we need to reset our minds and work towards a goal. Let's listen to him once again.
With professors in medicine, we must re-examine our education system.
Yes.
Even in matters as mundane as sports.
I was in secondary school, in the second year in secondary. I read the books, ran through the books up to the way to the Form 3. And I said, this is total, the word I used. I said, this education will not take us anywhere. And the whole class laughed at me. I told them, this education wouldn't take us anywhere. 3 years later, that is 2 years after we finished school, and the 1 year that people were in college, because I never went to college. I stayed home when people were going to college. So after 1 year, people are in college, they're trying to raise finances for the school, pay for the accommodation, pay for their own food. Then people start looking for me and tell me, Mister, we are sorry we laughed at you, but you were right at that particular time. I don't know what you saw, but you are right. And they asked me, what are you doing? I told them I'm in business. I'm trying to learn how to make money. They told me, keep going. Don't lose yourself. And that still reminds me on the abilities that I actually saw that very much in early age.
Sports, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The United States of America offers our young men and women scholarships to study sports. Our universities done
the same too. I come from the Rift Valley region, where it's perceived that most of us from the Rift Valley region are athletes. I actually did athletes when I was in primary, but I used to have perennial cycle of muscle pull, because yes, it is true that my ancestry comes from the Rift Valley, but I was not raised in the Rift Valley. I was raised in the coastal region where it's a little bit humid and hot. So I think that had a strain on my body, and I couldn't continue. And also the sad part, I used to see, how I know even today, people still run up today, but they have never participated in a marathon. And I say that with very sad honesty, that person, his life to generate wealth, to live a life that he had expected, has been taken away from him. Because how many people participate in marathon? The country does not take the whole people. We take about 10 to 12. So imagine all your years from primary you've been practicing, you forego studying and you practice sports, athletics at that particular time, and want to learn more and more and more, but you're in it and you're not benefiting. So it comes to a point whereby the depression will start kicking, the stress will start working against you, and the age also works against you. And then that's the time you find you lost your time. And it's the same thing is happening also, as Professor Lumbumba is saying, is also happening right in the heart of America, whereby everybody wants to join the NFL or the basketball. So I think those two are the most common games. So what are the opportunities, or what is the likeliness of all the Black Americans being into that game? It's very minute. So you find that the aggregation is towards that particular athletic. The financing is through that, but it's only a few. But if that financing was given to, engineering students, medical students, imagine the immense career bandwidth that the Black Americans would be having. It could be very big. So that's why you see most of them. I had a conversation with one guy who works for the military, the American military. Said he wanted to join the NFL, but when he didn't join, because now he had already gained an athletic body, he decided to join the army. I asked him, was that what you wished for? Or is that what you aspired for? He said, no, I aspired for more. So some things we get ourselves involved, they take us a little bit astray, and we deviate from the main goals, and it's not into our liking, but it just sort of happened.
Football is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But yet,
Let's take it a little bit back.
football is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But yet, when one of the masters of ceremony was speaking in jest, it is not the anthem of Asante Kotoko that he remembered, but that of Liverpool, "You shall not walk alone." Theosagiefo was right when he said, we may actually solve the economic problem. We may even solve the political problem. But I dare say that the mental problem which was impacted and makes us feel inferior will take a little longer to solve. In 1933, Carter G. Woodson, that African-American educator, writing in his book, Miseducation of the Negro, said that we have been so miseducated for so long. Our self-esteem has been undermined for so long. We have been made to use the back door for so long that even when we are told to use the front door, we look for the back door, and if we can't find it, we create our own back door. The level of our...
I think what he said is a little bit controversial, but it's actually very true. We do not believe in ourselves mostly, and when we don't believe ourselves and things seems to be working, we still think that something could easily go wrong. I don't know, it's something also I think I have also myself, whereby you see something and you think that something will it's about to go wrong. Nobody has told you, but you just feel, like something is about to go wrong, really, really, really go wrong. And I like how he put it. He put it so well that, we are the problems of our own. So what does it remind me? It reminds me of that we should get out of the victimhood mentality, get out of the victimhood mentality that everything will go wrong or something will go wrong, or when we don't see it going wrong, we create some little things that can make it go wrong. He actually put it very much straightforward.
That even when we are told to use the front door, we look for the back door, and if we can't find it, we create our own back door. The level of our miseducation is amazing. We must change it in order to enter into the 21st century. Today, if I stood here and asked young Africans, and there is no shortage of them here, how many African authors do you know? And I asked, which is the last book of Chinua Achebe that you read? Or Kofi Awunor? Or Aikwe Yama? or Kamara Lai, or Flora Nwapa, or Dambisa Moyo, or more recently Chimama and Ngozi Dichie, or Yagiansi. How many have? We have been made to believe that it's only Shakespeare.
Actually, it's very true. I only know what Chinua Achebe, the first author you mentioned, and the last one, Chimanda. Sadly, I've not even read Chinua Achebe books. I think I read only Things Fall Apart, but I never finished. Chimanda's book, never. The other artists that he mentioned, the other writers he mentioned, I think I've heard of one. I don't remember the name we said, but it's only the two that I still remember. It's just a sad part about it. But I know of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, yes, I read, and I did it in school. And it's really sad that we do not read a lot. I know it's something that is common with us, but yeah, he has just mentioned it, and I think we need to refocus and think about it. I think it's very much important to understand that we need to educate ourselves, know our history. Actually, I have a video of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Let me just pause it here and listen to Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
If you know all the languages of the world and you don't know your mother tongue or your first language or the language of your culture, then that's this sexual self-enslavement, you know. But if you know your mother tongue or your first language, then add all the languages of the world to it. Colonizer always, in all situations, suppresses the language or the languages of the colonized and elevates their own language. If we can destroy their naming system, how they name themselves, that would be one way. Let's look at how we came to be made to feel negative about our languages, or even how we came to be made to believe that our languages are the cause of division among us. Can you see even the very idea that what is our own is enemy to us, and what is not ours is what is a friend to us, or rather what is ours disunites us, what is not ours brings us together. It's a kind of absurd. But the other way is language. If you can suppress their language and their naming system, they will soon forget who they are. We are really also colonize their mind, you know, and the history carried by that language, and all the knowledges carried by that language, and all the history that makes people feel we are a people, You are alienated from it, and then mentally you are made to attach yourself, root yourself in conqueror's language, and therefore you are more part of the history carried by that language, the culture carried by that.
Yeah, there you go. Ngugi wa Thiong'o says you can learn all the language in the world, but if you do not know the language from where you come from, you have lost. Literally, you have lost. You're a vessel that is gonna be taken away by waves in all directions. Nobody cares because you do not stand for yourself. That's what Ngugi wa Thiong'o just said. But let's just go back now to PLO Lumbumba and listen more what he has to say.
It is only Shakespeare and Charles Dickens that matter. The Osagyefo, to whom Africans owe an apology, wrote in his great book, Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism, and the most dangerous. We are in that stage. That stage when the colonizer still wants us to believe that our literature is inferior, that our science does not exist, that our mathematics does not exist, that we have no medicine to talk about, that we cannot mine beyond galaxy, that we cannot extract our own oil, that we have no business being in robotics and cryptocurrency, that we must be consigned to the Museum of History alongside the spinning wheel, that we have no business being in the jet age. That is what we are being told. And my fear is that we appear to be believing it.
Yeah.
If we are to give meaning to our independence, then education must be our focus. So said Ethiopia's Haile Selassie. If we want to change the continent of Africa, we must give meaning to education. So said Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere of Tanzania on that day. If we are going to change my little Senegal, we must give education priority. So said Leopold Sedar Senghor of Senegal. Even the complicit Félix Houphouët-Boigny in La Côte d'Ivoire believes so. When you see our judges dressing, they still dress.
I think it's the same thing about what Ngogi said, that we need to also refocus on how this education is being delivered to us and what are the benefits and what are the preemptives that makes this education rather defunct.
Just like Father Christmas. Whoever told us that justice could only be administered when you dress like Father Christmas, I do not know. We live in a world where we are so mentally captured that those of you in the middle class, your greatest claim to fame is that my daughter can no longer speak Chui, and is meant to be a badge of honor. It is a badge of complete colonial conquest. And we cannot enter the 21st century with that mindset.
In Kenya we say, mwacha mila ni mtumwa. You know, the one that forgets about the culture and the tribe is a slave. That's what my grandfather told me.
That mindset. Go to the countries in the Scandinavia, which we can dare compare ourselves with. Go to Denmark, they teach in Danish. Go to Norway, they teach in Norwegian. Go to Sweden, they teach in Swedish. Go to Finland, they teach in Finnish. Go to Korea, they teach in Korean. Go to China, they teach in Chinese. Go to Japan, they teach in Japanese. Then they meet the world.
And why does Africa teach in Swahili? Yes, I know Tanzania, they teach in Swahili. It's actually really amazing to hear that Swahili is being taught as the mode of communication in Tanzanian education system. But why not Kenya? You know, like a country that also speaks Swahili. Why do they teach in English? Why do they still stick into speaking in English while teaching? You know, the medium of communication. So, or if you're from another country like Nigeria, why not teach in Igbo, maybe in Yoruba? You know, what are the reasons? Is it? I know that there's a lot of people who come and say, you know, it's to make it easy communication from each. But I believe what he has to say is very true. Even I saw another video from TikTok. Somebody said that there's something so funny that they will translate the Bible in all our languages, but not the education system. You know, they deliberately translated the whole Bible, but they could not translate the little books of education that we have. Something similar? Something is ringing in your mind? Somebody deliberately wants us to know the Bible, and you know, 100% there are people in Africa who would just follow the Bible, but they do not believe in the essence of the truths of what the Bible says. So I believe that was used as a medium of colonization and, you know, entanglement of slavery. But now the education was denied to us deliberately. And there he says it so well.
But you and me, I am waxing eloquent in English, not in Kiswahili. Yes. We must revamp our curriculum. I suspect you are either using Samsung or Huawei. What did China do 30 years ago? They made a decision that we are going to change our education system. And they changed the education system. They engaged in agriculture. They engaged in technology. They engaged in medicine. They engaged in everything. And today China is the second strongest economy in the world. with a GDP of no less than 19 trillion United States dollars. The time is now for us to change our minds. Today I'm saying that we cannot remain imprisoned in history and lamentation. That is why it is still true for you Ghanaians. Nkrumah is dead, but Nkrumah never died. Go to Denmark.
And that's the end of what Lumbumba had to say about the education system, the mental anguish that we have as Africans, the effects of colonization. And he goes to a lengthy to explain how the tribes are actually being annihilated of the people themselves, the cultures coming together with the tribe people speak, and also the damage. And he tried to explain and put into emphasis on how we could redo it, and also point us that we are heading to the worst of this, psychological troubles that we are about to enter. We are getting into the worst part. So that's what he had to say, and I was actually really interested and really motivated about it. But I think that is very much motivating. I will try and do another video about Ibrahim Traore because we know what has been happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and also to another extent maybe Chad. So we're gonna talk about it later. Otherwise, if you are watching me from the first time, I will just request you to subscribe so that you can hit the notification bell so that anytime I will be uploading, you will actually get a notification about the upload, and you could really enjoy the knowledge that the little nuggets I'll be sharing. Maybe sometimes I come with tea or coffee. You choose your cup, and see you in another one. Adios. Bye bye.